Fam, what's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is Thursday, December 26th. I appreciate you guys rocking with us. Let us know where you're watching from inside the comment box. Got T up in the house. T, what's going on?
Good morning, everyone.
Today on the show, we're going to discuss a couple rumors that are out there. I want to go over a couple rumors, the big rumors that are out there, like the Peter Woods rumor, right? The JaMarcus Shephard rumor, him being linked to Washington State. We're going to find out and kind of dive into Kadyn Proctor. Is he going to play in the Reliaquest Bowl? I appreciate you guys being here. It's going to be a great show today on Bama Football on YouTube. Definitely let us know where you're watching from inside the comment box. And I hope that you had an amazing Christmas. T, did you have an amazing Christmas?
I did. It was great.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's been nice. You know, we've been in New Mexico for a couple days now. So if you see like the new set and stuff, this is just, we're at my mom's house here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So this is where the show is. But, you know, the show goes on no matter where we're at. So we appreciate you guys being here. And I know that you guys wanted to go over Peter Woods. That's why I wanted to put a video together to just address that. So that's what we'll open up with inside the comment box. But T, let us know where people are watching from inside the comment box as we get things going.
Yeah, I'm seeing some check-ins from Fruithurst, Alabama, Coleman, Alabama, and that's it so far.
Oh, Ricky Smith is like, yo, I got the beanie. You know what? So Santa Fe, and the weather has been pretty good. Today, right now, the feels like outside is 27 degrees here in Santa Fe. So when you think New Mexico, and if you've never been in New Mexico before, this is high desert. So the elevation here, my mom's house, 7,200 feet. So yeah, I got the beanie up top for the look today. So I appreciate you guys being here. Let's dive into it. I know you guys want to talk about Peter Woods and you know, go over. Somebody literally, if he went into the transfer portal. So let me preface this by saying this is how I'm going to do things today is like whether this is like a hot rumor, like this has some smoke to it, or it's kind of cool. At this point in time, I feel this is kind of cool, to be honest. I think it's something that people want to believe is real, but I'm not believing it right now. Now, when you look at a player like Peter Woods, would you want him to come to Alabama? Hell yeah. When you look to Alabama's defensive line room, do you need a defensive lineman? Hell yeah. Did you want Peter Woods before he went to Clemson? Hell yeah. Okay. 6'3", 315 pounds. And I think when you look to Alabama's defensive front, you got Tim Keenan, James Smith, who we all are excited about, but you need some added depth. And when you look to a player like Peter Woods, just finished up his sophomore season out of Alabaster, Thompson High School this past season. I think he dealt with a little bit of some injuries, but he did play in 12 games in the year prior in 2023, played in 12 games as well, started 10 games, in fact. Now, why people are questioning if he went in the transfer portal or if he's going to, rather, is following. This is it, T. And I'm telling you, like, if you look to Peter Woods, there's not one person that's watching the show today that is curious about the future of Peter Woods. And this is what he said. So following Clemson's playoff loss to Texas, he posted this. Thank you, Clemson. Does that lead you to think that, like, if you saw that, does that, and look, if you've been following this inside the comment box, we track everything here, right? I'm saying it's kind of more rumor right now. I don't think that this has a lot of smoke to it. I'm not going to get excited about it, but I did want to address it because I know you're talking about it out there. So let me ask you inside the comment box. I'm going to go to T. So inside the comment box, and T, you could ask them, do you think, based on kind of the tea leaves and him saying, thank you, Clemson, do you think that Peter Woods is going to hit the transfer portal? Let me know inside the comment box. There's a few more days to do this. I'm watching it. You're watching it. I personally don't think that this is going to go down. However, if he does go into the transfer portal, you know, we're running back on here and we're excited about him jumping in. See, like, just by him saying thank you, Clemson.
Yeah, no, I don't think that necessarily means he's hitting the portal. Like, I think, yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to say no. So right now, what is everybody saying inside the comment? I mean, a lot of people say no, yes. It seems like kind of a mixed bag.
Like, but this is the cryptic message. They just do that.
That's it. It was a cryptic message, and people are running with it. And I think right now in this day and age, there's a lot of ambiguous posts that, like, did this mean this? Did this mean this?
A lot of people think it means he's going to leave.
I know, 100%. And being that he's from Alabaster. Oh, and this was the other thing that they tied in here. The fact that he went back for the holidays, or is right now back in Alabama.
Well, that's where his family is.
His family's from there. Just because I came here to New Mexico doesn't mean I'm gonna start covering the Lobos. No disrespect. And if I did, I'd be rolling with the Aggies. So that's my school, Las Cruces. But I don't know. So we are tracking it right now. I would absolutely 1,000,000% be excited about Peter Woods. Do I think this is a rumor with limited smoke? Yeah, I do. So I'm saying rumor right now. I know it's out there, people talking about it. Maybe, the last thing is, but maybe this is why Alabama hasn't been actively going after a defensive tackle. Because they did recruit Gabriel Brownlow there for a while.
Yeah.
Before he committed, I think, ultimately to Texas A&M. I think that's where he went. I can't remember. But he ultimately didn't come here. And if you look to Alabama's roster management, they do need a defensive lineman. So not much time is like big dude, stat-wise, meh, but we are lacking depth. That's exactly, you like read my mind. I think sometimes when you look at somebody like this, is like, how much more could he develop? And I think that he does have a higher ceiling than being maxed out. I feel that you get him over here, considering you lost Damon Payne, you're losing Tim Smith, you absolutely need somebody from defensive line. The other guy, and sometimes when we talk about guys who we want, it's like, talk about guys who are already here. And like maybe an Isaiah Fega has a breakthrough. Steven Bua is here. Maybe he could be that added depth piece. So, and I never really figured out what happened with Damon Payne. He went to Michigan and then the paperwork got nullified. So does that mean that he's still like in the portal? I don't know what that means. I mean, he committed to Michigan. So I have no idea. But I know in terms of, if you want Peter Woods, this would probably be close to like a 9 out of 10 if he did hit the portal and if he did commit to Alabama. I think we're a long way from all that. He just said, thank you, Clemson. People are running with it. It's fun to talk about. Alabama doesn't need a defensive lineman. I know you guys are being, optimistic out there in terms of Peter Woods. So that's where we stand right now. I am saying absolutely rumor. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
All right. These are the guys who are physically in from the transfer portal. Okay. You got 5 of them. Just to recap, right? Isaiah Horton, wide receiver out of Miami. Really excited about him. Talked about the Alabama wide receiver room. And there's a lot of people that feel, and they might not know all the rules. So let me just put this out there. If the player's transferred in, they can't play for the bowl game. I know all these rules can be confusing, but he will be available to come in and participate in spring practice, just like all these guys. So Isaiah Horton, a much needed piece in the wide receiver room. You get excited thinking about Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Jalen Hell, a lot of these guys that we haven't even been talking about. The wide receiver room, very strong. One of the top overall units for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only going to say this one time. We got 331 people up in the house. Will you just please take a minute and hit the thumbs up on this video? I really appreciate it. Helps us continue to be content creators right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And we really appreciate it and look forward every single day to coming to you right here on Bama Football on YouTube. You also got Nakai Hillgreen. And I think you needed an inside linebacker. Now, with the inside linebacker, let's stay here for a minute. Number one, what does Nakai Hillgreen bring to this room? Well, he brings veteran experience. Last year, he had 82 tackles at Colorado. Did a really great job for the Buffs. I think he was second team All Big 12. We're also watching the status of Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson, here at Alabama, came from the JC ranks. So he has extra eligibility because Diego Pavia just sliced up the NCAA, right? Does that mean that he's going to come back for 2025? He hasn't announced yet. I'm sure he's talking with his people about what makes more sense for him. I feel that looking at Justin Jefferson, is he an NFL guy? I don't know. I would imagine so eventually. Like I'm really confident that Deontay Lawson, NFL guy, Jahad Campbell, like high round guy. So Justin Jefferson, yeah. But I think he could benefit from coming back another season. And Alabama's linebacker room would certainly welcome that, because after Nakai Hillgreen and Deontay Lawson, who I feel is going to come back for 2025, you have Justin Okoronkwo, Caden Jones, Jeremiah Alexander. The experience is light. So adding another linebacker, and as you know, in the SEC, the season's a gauntlet. It's a grind. I think having Justin Jefferson would be a critical addition if he decides to come back in 2025. So that is something that we are tracking. I see a lot of questions regarding Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of North Carolina State. Something that we haven't talked about a lot. So let me mention this real quick. I haven't heard another update on Casey in regards to Casey coming to Alabama. I haven't really seen him going anywhere. It's been kind of quiet on that front. What I do think, and this isn't fact, but this is kind of piecing things together, I feel, and I've said this before, that when you got Isaiah Horton, that's one of the wide receivers, and when you move Jalen Mbakwe from corner to wide receiver, or you have him as a two-way player, I think that is the wide receiver that you got kind of from the transfer portal, right? Think of it as like Jalen Mbakwe transferred just from position to position, which is going to be enough wide receivers for Alabama. When I showcase the overall graphic of the wide receivers on the board, it's not an area where they lack depth or talent. So would Alabama welcome KC if it made sense? For sure. I personally think that guy would be a wonderful addition. If you bring him in, who do you knock off? Maybe that was a kind of part of the plan, is like, we want Jalen Mbakwe here, but we got to get him the football too in 2025. So no real intel on Casey Concepcion, but I don't think, looking forward, that he's going to be a member of the Alabama football staff. Cam Dewberry also committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let me just hit on a couple of these guys just to get fresh, in case you forgot, or you've been away, you haven't seen the transfer portals updates. But Cam Dewberry comes to Alabama from Texas A&M. I feel he's going to play the guard position. I think some people have questioned if he could play tackle. From looking at Pro Football Focus and film, he's only played guard. That's why I'm still confident that Alabama goes to the tackle position at some point in time to bring in a tackle. And that tackle could even come in during the spring transfer portal window. Who's to say that Alabama doesn't give Formby, Pritchett, and Proctor more chances to develop during the springtime and see where they're at? Maybe that tackle is not on the board right now, so continuing to track that. But you do have Cam Dewberry coming in. Kelby Collins, originally out of Gardendale, committed to Florida, came back, transferred to Alabama. He'll be at that bandit position, a lot of competition there. And then Cam Calhoun is out of Utah, and committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I think when we talk about in the back end of the show, which players do we feel are going to go to the NFL? I think based on kind of who Alabama is bringing in, that kind of gives us an early look at which players might be going out. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for watching. I see you guys inside the comment box. Ron South, Jonathan, what's up, man? Appreciate you. Hunter, Byron, always up in here. Jawan, Prime D1, Marcus, Wade's World, Chris from New Jersey, Daniel, and everybody else up in the house. I appreciate you guys coming in. Let's talk about JaMarcus Shephard. JaMarcus Shephard is somebody recently that was linked to the Washington State head football coach. But while I take a sip of this coffee, T, I'm going to go to the next slide. And if you could read over Alabama's coaching staff and what each of those guys were making salary-wise in 2024. Yeah. And then I'm going to talk about JaMarcus Shephard. I'll get right to it. I think it's a rumor. I think that Washington State is adding different guys to their hot board, just as all recruiting sites do. But in terms of physically actually being linked, and do I think he's really going to go to Washington State? I don't. But let's talk about it, and let's talk about this Alabama coaching staff. T, here's a look at what the coaches were making in 2024 salary-wise, and here's a list of all the assistant coaches.
So Kalen DeBoer is making $10 million, Sheridan 1.3, Kane Womack 1.5, Freddie Roach $1 million. JaMarcus Shephard 1.1, Gillespie 875, Christian Robinson 650, Hitchler 675, Linguist 875.
Yeah,
Ellis 550.
And then,
875. Yep.
So there's a look at what the guys are bringing in. And I was thinking, I've never seen, before I go back to JaMarcus Shephard, I've never seen this before when looking at a coaching staff. Now, I've not looked at a coaching staff in terms of all their titles, but looking at these titles, have you ever seen this inside the comment box? I'm talking to everybody up in here, as always, right? Look at how many assistant head coaches you have. It's like, I get it. I think it's because to pay them more, but like there's no straight up like defensive. Every single guy is like a head coach here. So for example, like, you've heard of like too many chefs in the kitchen. I don't like this seemed a little bit I wouldn't say strange, but it seemed peculiar, I guess, when I was looking at the titles. Doesn't matter. I have no idea. Probably not just based on salary, but like, let me just run it through, okay? Like, Freddie Roach is the assistant head coach and the defensive line coach. Does that mean that he's at a higher position than Kane Womack? Does like Kane Womack being the defensive coordinator report to Freddie Roach? I don't know. Like, and then Kane's making more. It's just,
Yeah,
it seemed like it'd be confusing to me. Like JaMarcus Shephard, he's the assistant head coach, the co-offensive coordinator, and the wide receivers coach. Uh, Robert Gillespie, he's the assistant head coach and running back. I don't know. I guess it just relates to salary. And then you have Hitchler, who's also, so you have 3 co-defensive coordinators, right? No, let's see. Mo Lindquist, Colin Hitchler, Freddie Roach, and King. Yeah, so you have 4 guys who are basically, I don't know. So I thought that was really interesting. Jay Nunez, I wasn't able to find out how much he made, but here's kind of a look at what these guys were making. So going back to JaMarcus Shephard, he was linked recently to this Washington State head football coaching job. Is he ready to be a head coach? Probably so, to be honest. Is it Washington State? I don't think so. I think the connection is because he was recently at Washington. When you get to listen to JaMarcus Shephard, and if you've seen any of his interviews from the great team reporters out there, please watch them. He is so articulate. I think out of all the coaches that we've had here, you talk about guys who have the energy, that passion, kind of just like it's innate in them. Coach Cochran at his prime, he had that, and that spilled over into his players, right? And I think JaMarcus Shephard, I'm not going to call him the hype guy, but I think that he has that in him. I can't even imagine how it is for a wide receiver to be able to be coached up by somebody like this man. I do feel that he will be a head football coach. Washington State isn't the spot for him, in my opinion. So I think this is another just strong rumor. I've seen it out there that he's been connected to Washington State. I haven't seen it. You got to have Washington State really interested in a couple different guys. And while they might be interested in him, I think this is another rumor. So he's a great recruiter. He has that fire. Just mentioned on the hot board. But if you're out there and you're worried that JaMarcus Shephard is going to go somewhere else, I don't think so. And when you look to Alabama's coaching staff, and I know I get these questions a lot, you're like, is there going to be another a change within the assistant coaches? Like, you think he'll fire Nick Sheridan? Do you think they'll fire Coach Kane Womack? No, I don't. I think you're going to have, which is interesting, not because they're not going to fire anybody, but following Coach Saban, he had a lot of roster and coach turnover because people were always plucking his staff away from them, or he was finding like another guy, a job. For example, like I kind of think of like a Tosh Lapoy, who he found a job with the NFL. Tommy Rees, like that didn't work out, so maybe he found him a job in the NFL. At least that's how it was framed. I think with this staff, they really haven't been able to have that full like 2-year cycle of roster management, understanding the schematics, having a quarterback that can run the offense, a year or 2 with this swarm defense. I think we were all critical of the swarm defense, but if you look to some of the stats, like forced turnovers, that was right on the money. Do we want more pass rush? Probably so. Do we want more guys coming in? Yeah, but at the end of the season, I think the defense was actually playing a little bit better after that Oklahoma game. Right. But this year was like up and down on each side of the ball. So I want to see year 2 with Kane Womack. I want to see year 2 with Nick Sheridan. I'm not at the point where I feel like, Kane Womack is like a Pete Golding, like get rid of him. I don't feel like that at all. I actually like Kane Womack, listening to him sometimes. I do feel that it was concerning on the back end of the season that Oklahoma didn't have to make adjustments from that Vanderbilt game, and they were able to run so effectively against Alabama. That is concerning, like long term. But I want to see more volume from this coaching staff before Coach Kalen DeBoer, makes any changes. I think we're far away from that. Plus, the last thing I'll say about this recruiting staff or this staff is like recruiting wise, they just finished with the number 2 recruiting class. Oh, you know who should add up here on this graphic? David Ballou, I think he's making $1 million. And I think Courtney Morgan is making $1 million too as a GM. So we'll just add that on the back end. Ricky Smith wants Bo Davis up in the house. I appreciate it. Jeff, what's going on, man? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Jarvis up in the house. Thank you so much. Byron, Oceanic Jazz, Lisa Luck. Good morning to you. Hunter, any update on our specialists for next year? I think there's a preferred walk-on snapper, and you have Alex Ashbroff coming in as the punter. And then your kicker, I would imagine, is going to be Connor Talty, who will be a redshirt freshman this coming season in 2025. I think it's important to have a snapper because you lose Nealon Hibbett, who is a tenured snapper. No one cares about the snapper, right? Like fans, I guarantee you, coaches, it's a huge area of concern as a snapper. So I don't know who this will be for 2025. Is going to be a preferred walk-on guy? I don't know. Let's also dive into something else that is out there. So we talked about Peter Woods in the start of the show. Then we talked about JaMarcus Shephard. We are listing each of those items as rumors. Okay. Now, what's going to be interesting is for the bowl game with Kadyn Proctor. So right now there's a report out there that, and these team writers are spot on. They have an amazing pulse. I've seen those guys work hard. They have sources. They work the scenes. I think the team sides are right now split on if Kadyn Proctor is going to play against Michigan. It's a glorified exhibition game. So you're like, who cares? You should care, because if you don't, you have Wilcom Formby and you have Elijah Pritchett starting at the tackle position. You could look at it on two sides of the coin, like, oh no, like Alabama's in trouble. Or you could look at it added reps for each of those guys who do need reps. So at this point, there's nothing official right now that is saying Kadyn Proctor that he's not going to play in the Reliaquest Bowl. In fact, the last practice that Alabama had, which was on Sunday, he did practice in that game. But sources and people who are still like really close to the situation feel that he's not going to play in the bowl game. I just went ahead on our YouTube channel and listed him as questionable. It's something worth watching. Now, you have to remember, going back to the start of the season, Kadyn Proctor didn't play until the Wisconsin game. Remember? He was dealing with the labrum issue on the shoulder. So is he going to get that patched up? Is it something else? Who knows? So that is something that we are watching. I get it would make it more exciting, I guess, if you had a new right tackle and a new left tackle, just to see how Formby and Pritchett could do against Michigan. Michigan's missing a ton of guys. I'm telling you, a lot of guys have opted out. It's not the same Michigan team that beat Ohio State. They're depleted because of opt-outs. Alabama kind of depleted because of transfers and injuries. So we are tracking Kadyn Proctor, and if we get more updates, we'll bring that to you. In this, like talking Peter Woods rumor, JaMarcus Shephard rumor, I feel there's a little bit more truth to Kadyn Proctor not playing against Michigan. There's a little bit more smoke around this. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. Again, nothing official. We'll keep you posted as we go forward right here on Bama Football on YouTube regarding Kadyn Proctor, Alabama's starting left tackle. Last thing I want to say about Proctor, please write this down. He's a sophomore. He's not a redshirt sophomore. He's a true sophomore, meaning he has to come back next year. I know it gets confusing when you're looking at graduation years, but Proctor, coming back in 2025. Here's a list of all the players that are not going to play in this upcoming bowl game. Okay. Stay with me as I read these out.
It's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it is a lot, right? It's a lot. Okay. So Damon Payne, Dylan Lonergan, Justice Haynes, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, Caleb Odom. All right, T, let's do some trivia real quick. Okay. Without you looking, I'm going to ask you where the transfer went. Let's see. Okay.
Where they went?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Okay. Let Dylan Lonergan.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. Justice Haynes.
Haynes went to Michigan.
Okay. Perfect. Oh, this is a good one. Kobe Prentice.
Prentice went Ole Miss?
Nope. Come on, T.
Okay,
you got this one. Caleb Odom.
Vanderbilt.
No, my goodness. Okay, we
need
need your match cards to go. All right, Damon Payne, nullified to Michigan. Dylan Lonergan, Boston College. Justice Haynes, Michigan. Kendrick Law, going over to Kentucky. Kobe Prentice, Baylor. Caleb Odom going to Ole Miss. Emmanuel Henderson going to Kansas. Miles McVay going to North Carolina. Nyquil Bentre going to Syracuse. Hunter Osborne going to Virginia. Keanu Cook going to Vanderbilt. Jalil Hurley going to Kansas. Devontae Smith going to Notre Dame. Kadyn Proctor questionable. Malachi Moore injury, will miss this game. Keon Sabb injury. Deontay Lawson injury. Q-Rob injury. Cole Adams injury. Jalen Hell injury. Bubba Hampton injury. Amari Jefferson injury. What's interesting is you only have like 4 guys on scholarship at the wide receiver position being eligible to play in this game. So that's why they had to move Mbakwe over too. So Mbakwe is absolutely okay. Over under, fam, inside the comment box. Does Jalen Mbakwe catch more or less than 5 passes against Michigan? I'm going to say less.
Under.
You're going to say less? More or less for Jalen Mbakwe. Less. Everyone's saying less. Okay. But see, I think he'll play both ways. I really do. And I feel that he'll return kicks and punts. So overall, he'll get like 12 touches. Okay, everybody's going less. Okay, we're going to keep you. Lisa's the only one that's saying more. Okay, we're going to keep receipts on that. All right. Man, that's a lot of names, right? When you put it out visually, that's a lot more names than you think. And that's why Courtney Morgan in this recent article with the Tuscaloosa News was saying this transfer portal deal is out of control. It should physically open the last game of the season. Mm-hmm. Well, when's the last game of the season? Well, it's January 20th of 2025. So Coach Saban has said it should line up with the academic calendar. If it opens up at January 20th, can you imagine like prospects trying to move around in schools and stuff like that? Like, you couldn't just transfer like in January. You'd have to finish out, then hit the transfer portal like in that spring period window, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe it should just be opened after the season. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. It gets too confusing. I was thinking about a couple different ideas about the transfer portal, but I don't know. I mean, it's just completely off the rails now that, it's opened. And then even for teams that play, like Alabama plays on the 31st, it's extended for 5 more days from where their bowl game sits. Just ridiculous. All right. Justice Haynes, as I mentioned, going to Michigan. What was your thought about him going to Michigan? Look, out of all the players that are going other places, I don't necessarily think that one of those guys is like a huge impact type guy leaving. I really don't. And that's no disrespect to any of those guys. I feel that some of those guys were in continued development, or there's guys on the roster that are equal to those guys or a little bit better. I would never say, look, there's a lot of guys on that team that transferred out. There's a couple of them that I felt were trending the opposite way that I hope that they get back on track. Like Jaheim Otis, I feel that he was just beaten out because of competition. I don't feel that he was playing his best football. I was really surprised to see that ESPN had him as the number 1 defensive player. I didn't think he was the number 1 defensive player in the transfer portal. I really didn't. I did like Justice Haynes. I felt that given time and given more opportunities, he would have been a running back to contribute here at Alabama. The thing is, with the running back situation with Jam and Richard right behind him, I think Alabama's trying to keep those guys fresh. And based on Jalen Milroe and his ability to run the football, he was really running back number 1 and the quarterback, which limited carries from Jam Miller and, of course, into Justice Haynes. Now, with Justice Haynes, I think he got estimated. I saw this. Athlon Sports is saying that he got estimated $500,000 to go to Michigan. I don't know if that's over like 2 years or 1 year, probably over 1 year, to be the featured back at Michigan. That's some heavy like that. That's a lot. How much was he making here? Maybe 100, 110.
Less,
yeah, 110. So when the running back room is that stacked and you got to offer a $500,000, look, the question I have is not like, do you take the money? Yeah, if the money's there for you and you feel that that's the best fit for you, go. But I think the question that all of us Alabama fans have regarding Justice Haynes is, does he really have top end talent? Can he really be like the premier back in the big conference? The Ohio State running backs are pretty damn good. Is Justice Haynes going to be one of those guys at Michigan? Is he going to be as good as Jam Miller or, some of these other running backs like a Dylan Sampson of Tennessee, one of the running backs that I have respect for that, or, you can't really compare anybody to the Boise State running back, but you get my point. Like, does he have top end talent? Let me ask you inside the comment box, or maybe you don't know. Do you think that Justice Haynes, honestly, do you think that he has top end talent? Like, do you think that if he was just waiting, if he really had his opportunity, he was running back number 1, do you think he could be like a household name in the running back room? Jarvis saying yes. Okay.
You like him, don't you?
I do. I do. But I guess the only reason that I just don't know. He just didn't get a lot of opportunities. And, I'll remember 2 things about Justice Haynes. No running back had better footwork in terms of like the drills, like chopping your feet. Mm-hmm. We have a video on here. It's a short that we uploaded. I don't know, it probably has like 1 million views of him just chopping his feet. Like, and you're like, what? That's nothing. No, like his footwork was elite.
He did look good
and you look back to go back and watch your receipts, like when he committed to Alabama and, what coaches would say about him. I think out of all the transfers, this was the one that probably hurt a little bit, to be honest, but it didn't hurt roster-wise because the running back room was so healthy. T, what's the feedback inside the comment box?
Yeah, I think it's kind of mixed. Like a lot of people don't really know how they feel.
See?
Some people are saying yes, not too many no's.
It's hard to answer, right? You're like, we didn't see enough opportunities.
Yeah.
And Daniel brings up a good question. You're like, was he better than Jam Miller? I'd say no.
No.
And the thing about Jam Miller, and it's crazy, and I was going to say this, is like, despite the opportunities that he's had and what he's done, he's still underrated. And people don't, only us on this show, 489 of us, know about Richard Young. The rest of college football, they have no idea. They have no, which is a good thing. That's why I'm kind of concerned. I'm like, oh, maybe keep him a little hidden against Michigan in the Reliaquest Bowl. What I'm scared of, fam, okay, I don't know if this is a possibility, but let's just say Richard Young goes crazy and he has like 175 yards against Michigan and like 2 touchdowns. You know, who knows? Can you imagine the type of offer? Like, think about the tampering. That's what's so broken about this. Think about the tampering that could happen. It'd be like, hey, you're not going to be number one at Alabama anyways. You're going to have to share the rock. Like, we can make you the featured back for this amount. Based off like your performance in this, that's wrong. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't fault Richard Young. Like, this is part of the game, right? Anyways, it's a healthy running back room. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, as we cruise closer to this Reliaquest Bowl. It's kind of feeling like it's taking a little bit of time to get to this bowl game. You have some playoff games coming this weekend. We'll talk more about those maybe on the back end of the show or specifically tomorrow. It's still weird to me that Arizona State and Boise State had buys to this next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, wild.
This is like the bizarre world. All right, here's where everybody is going. So everybody found homes. I don't know what to do with Damon Payne. I didn't know if to put a Michigan logo to him. I don't know if he's still in the transfer portal. That was weird to me. Damon Payne, really good defensive lineman, hit the portal, went to Michigan. It said the paper was nullified on each side. To me, that would mean that he's still in the transfer portal. I don't know. Yeah. But here's kind of a run through of all the players that are running through. I know I'm covering up Devontae Smith, who I really love. This dude, I like this guy.
That one surprised me the most.
That might have been a thing because Devontae Smith, a veteran Husky player, I don't think that he was like an absolute 5-star elite guy. He had experience. You could probably get a Husky this year to be better than him. I'd be curious to see if you could get Jalen Mbakwe to play Husky just to create competition. I don't know. That's not my area, but him going to Notre Dame might have been about maybe the bag. Maybe what if he went into the bag and got like a double masters or something like that from Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, yeah. I mean,
come on, we can talk about Notre Dame, but you get a degree from Notre Dame.
Yeah, it definitely looks a lot better on your resume.
All right, so here's a look to everybody else, though. As I said earlier, look, Justice Haynes, in my opinion, a big loss. Kendrick Law, he just never turned out to be that player we thought he was going to be at Alabama, and that's that. Kobe Prentice, we all have respect for him and the receiver that he is, but I don't think that he was much better than any of the guys that he was competing against. And that's just, that's iron against iron here at the University of Alabama. It's not a knock on him. It's just like he wasn't – if he left, you had guys who were going to take his place. If he stayed, they were going to play him. But he moves on, and that's how the transfer portal works. Caleb Odom, I still feel that was a big loss too, just because I think he has a really high ceiling. Emmanuel Henderson, can't wait to see him, what he does for Kansas. He was a guy that was, I think, plagued by injury and then plagued by the depth chart here at the University of Alabama. Miles McVay jumping on the Bill Belichick train at North Carolina. I still wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick doesn't even coach a game at college football. He has a buyout. His buyout right now is $10 million. Yeah. Okay. On, I think it's July 1st. You can look this up. On July 1st, talking about Bill Belichick, right? His buyout goes down to $1 million before the start of the season, meaning that an NFL program, if it was to open up, right? And let me ask you, I think I've asked you this before. Would you rather coach North Carolina with the Tar Heels, or would you rather coach like the Raiders in Vegas?
Yeah.
I would 1,000,000% coach the Raiders. Plus, you get probably Shedeur Sanders too to work with as a quarterback. The Raiders there's so many teams that need quarterbacks. That's why I'm going to talk about players who are, going into the NFL or waiting for announcements. all the teams that need quarterbacks, it's crazy. And this isn't the strongest quarterback room from college football, but the NFL needs quarterbacks, 100%. Let's talk about this Reliaquest Bowl real quick. Alabama favored by 11.5. I think it might have slid up to 12. Jarvis, help us out inside the comment box. And the total for this game is only 43 points. So what the total is what Vegas is anticipating this score to be, right, in total points. Let me ask you, we won't do our score prediction show right now, but what are just some early score predictions that you're feeling that are realistic for Alabama versus Michigan? I mean, you're talking 43 points. That's not a lot of points for this game. What are they talking, like a 21-17 Bama, a 24, a 31-24 Bama, something like that?
Yeah, that's
31-21 Bama.
Low.
Okay, how about this? And this is my official, but like Alabama 31, Michigan 21. Is Michigan going to score 21 points against Alabama? No, they don't even have a quarterback.
I hope not.
Daniel has a 28-17, 45-13. I'm taking the over on the 43.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we're taking the over. 34-12. Oklahoma scored 20. Samuel's like, well, Oklahoma scored 24. That's damn right they did. Jeff is saying 31-14. I like that score, to be honest, Jeff. Kind of like that 31-14 range, Alabama, Michigan. Look, Michigan is in a wave of hurt in terms of the quarterback play. And I think Alabama has enough players that are still playing in this game that haven't opted out or haven't transferred out. They're still going to be, somewhat decent on the defensive side. So it's hard for me to find, Michigan scoring a ton of points in this game. Roll Tide Pros, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Good morning to you. Hey, Kyle, do you think Jahad can come back? He could come back if he wanted to because he's a junior, but I think he's gone. I have Jahad going off as a top 20 pick in the 2025 draft. If they don't, like Dallas Turner slid all the way to 17 to the Vikings, which the Vikings to their benefit. But, Jahad Campbell's ready. He's ready to go. Look, a couple of reasons why Alabama must win against Michigan. I talked about that yesterday, but here are a couple of things that I want to see against Michigan. Okay, 5 things. And let me know inside the comment box, and we'll continue to talk about Alabama versus Michigan as we get closer. But can you list 2 things that you want to see? T, you could add this. Can you list 2 things that you want to see or kind of, let's see, 2 things you're interested to see against Michigan? 2 things you're interested to see. So number 1, I went with the tackle position because if Kadyn Proctor doesn't play, you're going to have 2 new tackles. Okay, I'm really curious about that. Are you curious? Like if Formby and Pritchett start, holy, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be a lot to watch. Maybe it works out. I have no idea, but I would be watching the tackles. Okay.
Patriot Life says cheerleaders.
Patriot Life, what's up, man? Merry Christmas to you, Patriot Life. Larry Lodge, what's up? Larry Lodge has a 38-17 Bama. Todd Tipton, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Hope you guys had a good Christmas too. Let's see. Read out some of these, T.
So Ricky Smith is saying for the defense to show up and the offense to protect each other. Let's see. Love Bama says the QB and wide receiver connections. Marcus is saying how the offensive line looks and how the running back looks. Let's see some more. Mbakwe at wide receiver and OL blocking, linebackers.
Yeah, so I said tackle position. I said Jalen Mbakwe at wide receiver. That's just going to be so interesting for me to see. I don't know why, but like get him out on the field. It'll be new. It'll be something interesting to see. So I put Jalen Mbakwe at wide receiver. I would imagine that Jalen Mbakwe returns punts and maybe even kicks too, because it seems like they're trying to get him onto the field and utilize his overall athleticism. The running back room. How is Alabama going to use their running back room? Look, keys to the game, run the football, beat Michigan. Can you do that? I don't know, but you have the running backs to do it. So what is the distribution between Jam and Richard? How do those guys look? Do we see some of the other running backs chime in as well? Who would be like the third running back? I would imagine that's going to be Daniel Hill. That's interesting to me. The safety position, why is that interesting? Well, with Malachi Moore out and Keon Sabb out, those are your starters, right? At the beginning of the season, those are your starters. So you have Bray Hubbard, our favorite player on the team, and then you also have King Mack. Look, the times that I saw King Mack, he didn't look ready. Now, that was a while ago. I don't know if Michigan has the quarterback to take advantage of that, but, an added opportunity for King Mac to get on the field. I also kind of think that Alabama might have to go to the portal to look at a safety or move some guys to that safety position. I wouldn't be mad to see Jalen M'Baku play safety or like a Zay Mincy play safety. I think they could. All right, Patriot Life with 5 fan funderships, T.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patriot Life. He's always gifting and helping everybody out get the membership, so we appreciate you.
Yeah, Dwayne is saying Richard Young needs to break it loose and show out for next year. Jam is going to get his. Yeah, I can't wait to see Richard Young as well, each of those running backs. I'm also curious to see the quarterback position. Like, I feel this is my thought. I don't think that there's going to be any change in the game plan this late in the season. In this exhibition game, I think in Jalen Milroe's last ride here at the University of Alabama, I think it's pretty much what you saw all season long. I think it's going to be the offense predicated on Milroe and his overall athletic abilities. I think it's going to be, a Ryan Williams haymaker here and there. And I think you're going to, distribute the football to the running backs when you can. But I think that that's what we're going to see. I would be really curious to see if you saw other quarterbacks in this game. I don't think there's going to be a passing a torch unless Alabama's up by significant value. Yesterday, I explained why it's important that Alabama beats the brakes off Michigan. I really feel that Alabama has to win this game. All the other bowl games, they don't matter at all. But for Alabama and their ecosystem and their overall brand and what happened this past year, yesterday we talked about kind of the ups and downs of the season. Alabama needs to end on a positive note. Okay, the fans still have anxiety, and the fans have been very patient with Coach Kalen DeBoer. And they're going to be because that's their guy, and they're going to follow him, and that is their coach. But this year was bumpy, okay? There was some positives, 100%, but you need to end this year. What an opportunity to have a game on the last day of the year. Like, what a blessing, right? To be able to play against Michigan. Like, the stars are lining up, I think, for Alabama, right? Opportunity. Love it. Okay, and it's so much better than playing in the Cheez-It Bowl against Illinois. That was the other option. Can you imagine how boring that would have been, the Cheez-It Bowl? Now, don't get me wrong.
Is it really the Cheez-It Bowl?
If you need a little snack, I'm not going to lie. Those little Parmesan Cheez-Its are really good. Snaps? No. Okay, the snaps are good, but I'm talking like the Parmesan ones. The ones like right when you check out of the grocery store and they're like right there, and you're like, man, should I do this? I just got this groceries. This is a little snack. I'm like, I can't help it. I come over here. I don't know. Cheez-Its aren't that bad. All right, snaps are good too. I appreciate it. Ryan asks, what's up, man? Appreciate you inside the comment box. But yeah, that's a very good bowl. Imagine Alabama playing Illinois. No, yuck. Didn't want that. All right. So I put together this graphic, and it showcases the guys, at least in my mind, that we're watching that could make announcements, right? Like Jalen Milroe will start up top, quarterback, leaving for the NFL draft. High confidence that he goes. I think there was, at the beginning of this month, I was a little nervous if he was going to come back or not. I think he's going to go to the NFL, 100%. All right. And in the latest draft board that I saw, I still saw Milroe as the third quarterback. Even if you go to Pro Football Focus, they have a mock draft, and you draft. So do this, fam. You want some homework? Go to Pro Football Focus and do a draft. I did a draft and I got an F draft. So I drafted the players, and it told me they were like, they wanted me to draft Travis Hunter. I didn't draft Travis Hunter first.
Tracks with your fantasy football.
Yeah, I know. No, my team was good, but we caught fire at the back end. Mm-hmm. One game out of the playoffs. T talking trash. All right. Jam Miller, he already announced that he's coming back. Jerry Bernard, feel that he's coming back. He hasn't made an announcement or anything like that, but you got to think that he's coming back. People you talk to, things you hear, things you read, Jeremy Bernard coming back. Tyler Booker, leaving for the NFL draft, 100%. That guy is ready for the NFL. Jaden Roberts, he's coming back, and he hasn't made an announcement, but I just think what's going to be crazy is when we read what that guy battled through injury wise, because Jaden Roberts isn't built like you are. He's like the Hulk. Like his arm might be broke or something like that. That guy's just on a different level. That's why I felt that he just didn't play up to 100%, but I think he's coming back. LT Overton, I feel he's gone. I think we've talked about that a couple different times. And what leads me to also believe that he's gone is the fact that Alabama just brought in Kelby Collins at that same position, right? Deontay Lawson, I feel he's coming back because he was injured. And you put him with Nakai Green, I like that inside linebacker combination. Throw in Justin Jefferson, feel he's coming back. Jahad Campbell, feel he's 100% gone. And Devontae Jackson, I feel he's gone just because you got Cam Calhoun coming in. That's why. So that's kind of, the way that I see it in terms of the players, that are coming in or out. That's just my take. What do you think? Is there anybody on here that you kind of, do you disagree? Devontae Jackson is somebody we talk about every single day on the show. Jahad Campbell, he's 1,000,000% gone. Milrose, 1,000,000% gone.
I think I agree with all of these.
Right. I think as we pieced it together, it's made a little bit more sense in terms of guys coming and going and based on who Alabama's got. All right, so let me run it back to the top real quick because now there might be a couple people that misses the back of the show. All right, so I am listing this right now on Peter Woods as a rumor. Now, Peter Woods, 6'3", 315 pounds, out of Alabaster, so in-state guy. People in Alabama wanted this guy in the class, right, a couple years ago. Played in 12 games freshman season, played in 12 games this past season. I think he dealt with some injuries, but he posted, I guess you could call it either a cryptic message. He just posted, "Thank you, Clemson." And that's what led us to get to this point of like the rumor mill. And we're like, oh yeah, he's coming. Added to the fact that Alabama also needs a defensive tackle, defensive lineman. So, and people were like, well, he was in Alabama for Christmas. Well, that's where he's from. So that's, if you're coming here for the Peter Woods news and you want to know if he's going to come to out, no, like he is still at Clemson. He is not in the transfer portal. I am listing this as a rumor. Like, is there smoke to it? I don't think so, to be honest. Now, if that changes and if he does go into the transfer portal, we're coming back and we're talking about it because I think this would be a high priority target. But right now, I would post it in the rumor mill. Okay. The other one that I hit on in the rumor mill was JaMarcus Shephard being linked to Washington State. I think this is also a strong rumor, and that's it. He will be a head football coach eventually, but Washington State isn't it. I think they have their eyes on a couple different coaches from around the country. Coach Shep is a wonderful addition to Alabama. In my opinion, we didn't get a lot of opportunities to talk to Holman Wiggins, who was the previous wide receiver coach. But I think that Shephard is the best wide receiver coach that Alabama has had since Coach Loxley a couple years ago. I feel that Coach Shephard is able to develop these wide receivers. I think he had a really strong influence on Ryan Williams' overall season in keeping him realistic in his approach. I think when you see, Hollywood on social media, he's that guy, but I think some of that continues to work with him and work on his craft and work on playing at a very fast level and a high level, along with his just natural intangibles. I think JaMarcus Shephard is absolutely that guy. Look, recruiting wide receivers is difficult. I think, losing out on Caleb Cunningham, that's a loss. But Ole Miss, they got the bag, and there's a lot of people that want to play for Lane Kiffin. So you look to Caleb Odom. That was another one. You look at the bag, and Lane Kiffin is going to get his. But I think in the guys and the production and what he can do in transitioning the wide receivers from here to the field to the NFL, I think Coach Shep is that guy. And then the last thing that we hit on was the fact that Kadyn Proctor, we're going to list him as questionable. I don't think that there's a team site that has like 100% validation if he is going to play in the Reliaquest Bowl or not. So we just listed him as questionable. I feel that it's a little bit more truth to this, that Kadyn Proctor won't play. If he doesn't play, that means you got Pritchett and Formby starting at the tackle position against Michigan. So that's kind of where we're at. Alabama Superfan, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. And then for everybody asking about the staff, if Alabama's going to get new staff at some of the positions, I'm going to say no again. I don't think that is going to be the case. Like, let these guys look. Should they get him? Is it exciting to talk about OC? Yeah, hell yeah. But I think considering that these guys haven't even been here a full year, because think about this, like Nick Sheridan was hired in February of this year. Like, let's just see what happens. Is it, and specifically with the new quarterback. But Kane Womack got a lot, and then we loved him. And then there was one time where we wanted Kane Womack to take the head coaching job at Southern Miss. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So no, I think we got to see what happens. But all these guys are absolutely getting paid, and all of them have nice, hefty titles under Coach Kalen DeBoer, who's making $10 million a year. So, all right, fam. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. And look, if you've dropped in here, I'm at my mom's house in Santa Fe. T and I are for a couple days just celebrating the holiday season. We had an amazing Christmas. We've been, eating all the food here in New Mexico. T, what's been your favorite food so far here in New Mexico?
Ooh, those tamales yesterday were pretty good.
Yeah. So my cousin's wife made some amazing tamales. So if you've had tamales, wrapped in the corn husks, so we do that. I think the one interesting thing is, which is normal to me, is like with our mashed potatoes, we put red chili on them. So I know that might be a little bit too much for people, but every single region has their things. That's ours.
And everything Penn made too.
And everything has chili. Like when you go to anybody been to Blake's Lauterburger?
Yes.
All right. So every single place here in New Mexico has chili. It's red or green. That's the state's question. So when you go somewhere, there's chili added to everything. It is part of the lifestyle. Yes, it is cold here. So my mom's house is at 7,200 feet. The mountains here, the southern tip of the Colorado Rockies. So the mountains here, Santa Fe Mountains, are about 10,000, 11,000 feet. In Taos, Wheeler Peak is about 13,000 feet. So this is where I grew up. And my grandfather built this house. My grandfather just passed away this November. So this house is very special to us. He built this house in 1999 here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So we've been having a good time. And, it's important that we also stay consistent to the work. Like T knows, she helps out, but I'm really adamant about work and consistency and performance. So it is hard sometimes to travel, but it's important to me to keep up the consistency of the show. I mean, this is my livelihood. And I appreciate you guys for rocking with me and for watching the show. Yesterday it was actually snowing up in the mountains. It didn't snow too much here. I think last year when we came here, there was snow. So yeah, there's 7,200 feet in elevation. That's what my mom's driveway is outside. In Albuquerque, it's 5,000 feet. I think Denver's at like 5,200. Denver from Albuquerque is from Santa Fe, probably be like a 6-hour drive. Done that a couple times. So yeah, so I hope you guys had an amazing time on the show. I don't know if it was amazing, but I hope you guys had a good time on the show. I appreciate you guys. If news happens, like major news, I'll come right back, or I'll report from the back of my truck. You know how we've done that before. I'm not necessarily anticipating like huge news, but you never know during this time of year because of the transfer portal. Alabama and Michigan, they will play each other on the 31st at 11 a.m. Central Time. So we'll do our watch along. We'll break it down. We'll have Coach Kalen DeBoer's press conference, all that and more right here on Bama Football on YouTube. But then remember, the transfer portal doesn't close until 5 days after for Alabama following the 31st. And of course, I think tomorrow we'll do a playoff show preview because you have playoff games this upcoming weekend. So as news happens, we got you covered. I appreciate you guys being here for rocking with us right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Please support all the other great content creators out there, whether they're talking Alabama football, big channels, small channels, individual creators, part of a company. There's a lot of people that do such an amazing job covering the Alabama Crimson Tide or just college football in general. So definitely support all the great content creators. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. As news happens, think Bama Football on YouTube. Coming to you from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. See ya.